I turned it off. You guys
Kevin,
good
are
to
you
go.
ready for us to get started?
You guys are good to go.
Oh, good. All right. Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Moore?
Here.
Councilwoman McNamara?
Here.
Councilman Iacilli?
Here.
Councilman Pell?
Present.
Councilman Martell?
Here.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to start the meeting this morning with the discussion about the agreements for the periodic renourishment of the Fire Island to Montauk Point project, otherwise known as FIMP. And Kelly Doyle, our Assistant Town Attorney, is here with us, and our consultant, Aram Tertunian, should be here momentarily.
Yes, he should be here in a few minutes.
In other words, he's late.
But you can get us started.
Okay, so the FIMP project is the Fire Island Inlet Montauk Point Coastal Storm Management Project. FIMP project, that involves cooperation between different levels of government. That would be the federal government, the New York State government as the non-federal sponsor, and then we have local sponsors. That would be Suffolk County.
These all the same? Oh, I'm sorry.
They're all the same.
Oh.
And there are 5 towns. We have the town of East Hampton, Southampton, Brookhaven, Islip, and Babylon. The initial partnership agreement, that was already signed, the initial one, to authorize work, which is the placement of sand. And the town of Southampton, right now, we're in the process of acquiring the easements that are necessary over approximately 98 private beachfront properties in order to allow dune restoration and placement of sand. The initial work is funded by the federal government 100% as a reimbursement. Now we need a new agreement for 30 years of renourishment. And that would require an agreement between the federal government, Suffolk County, and the 5 towns. The new agreement provides for a 4-year renourishment cycle for 30 years. And that would be to bring the beach and the dunes back to the profile that is contained in the Army Corps' initial plans, if it's necessary. Now, for the 30-year period, the federal government has agreed to pay 50% of the total cost. The state has agreed to pay 35% of the total cost. And the local governments are responsible for the remaining 15%. And there are portions of the beach that are within the town, but that are also within incorporated villages. So the town is working with those villages to enter into separate agreements. So each village would be responsible for their portion of the cost of the sand that goes into their village. And that is the village of Quogue, the village of West Hampton Beach, and the village of West Hampton Dunes. And also, there were some properties that are owned by Suffolk County within the town, and the town would not be responsible for paying for the renourishment for those properties owned by Suffolk County. So the federal government has projected the total cost for the 30 years for the entire renourishment project to be a little less than $3.5 billion. The state's share of that would be approximately $1.3 billion. And the town share that includes the 3 villages but excludes the county-owned land is estimated to be approximately $77 million. Now, these numbers are hopefully the worst-case scenario. This is assuming that every 4 years, every section of the beach has to be renourished and brought back up to the profile.
Kelly, 77 million over a course of how long?
30 years.
30 years.
30 years.
Again,
Is
hopefully,
that divided up between everyone?
that's just the town's portion.
Southampton.
With the villages.
With the villages,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, with the villages.
So then the villages will have, pay their share.
Out of the 77.
Out of the 77, yes. Yep. And again, hopefully that's worst case scenario and every section of the beach doesn't have to be renourished every 4 years.
Can I just ask a question? How much of the town portion is in ECDs?
One right
Excluding
now.
the villages,
One right now.
Most of it is within the Tiana ECD. There's only a small section in West Hampton that is not within the village, and it's not in an ECD.
And just for the public's edification, those UCDs are special taxing districts?
Yes,
Paid for
yep,
by the homeowners.
yes, that is correct.
Erosion Control District, they call it. And some of the villages are actually exploring creating their own ECDs to pay for this, to address this issue. So we've been speaking with the Village of Quogue as well as the Village of West Hampton Dunes. And I'm not sure where, and the Village of West Hampton Beach is still kind of considering how they might do things, so.
So Kelly, with the ECDs, do we need a new agreement with them? Because is this over and above what they signed up for with us?
The existing Tiana ECD,
Yeah.
we would have to look, I don't know what the existing,
The existing structure allows for the town board to tax the members of Tiana ECD. However, it requires the advisory board of the ECD to request to be taxed.
Well, wouldn't we have to set that all up before we enter
It's
into?
already set up.
No, but I mean, like, get them to sign off on it
Yes,
before
well,
we.
you just need a recommendation of the advisory board. That's what has been done in the
I
past.
mean, because this is gonna be cheaper than what they've been doing to do the full nourishment by themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tiana hasn't.
Tiana
A
has not.
great example of how it's worked, obviously, is the Bridgehampton and Sagaponic ECD that Aaron has obviously been very involved in, Kathleen as well. And that's really worked very well, right?
And there they pay 100%, here they're paying 15%.
And I apologize, I think I jumped ahead of you there.
Yeah.
oh, no, it's fine.
It's good clarification, though.
Yeah,
When people start hearing numbers like 77 million, they wanna
Yeah,
know where
sure,
it's coming
over a
from.
30-year period, right?
sound like a lot, and again, this is hopefully worst-case scenario.
And also the fact, as Kelly mentioned, the federal government's still gonna be paying 50% of it, the state's still paying
Yeah,
35% of it, so it's only 15, it's not only, but it's still 15% of the total cost over a 30-year period.
I meet, as do Kelly and Jim, with the Tiana ECD advisory group, annually or even more often, and they're fully in support. of doing this.
The EC, Tiana,
Yeah.
sure.
We can't just tax them for this, right? Under the existing.
Under the existing
agreement.
authorization, yeah.
We'd need to do something else.
Well, no, they merely need to send you a memo that says, yes, we want you to proceed. And then the board can issue the tax.
So
Yeah,
we
well, I
probably
guess
have
we'd
to
have-
tell them to do that.
Right, we'd have to create
In the
it.
past, what we've done with the other ECDs is, the comptroller's office generates a spreadsheet that breaks out every property and what their contribution would be on an annual basis.
We'd probably bond it out, right? With the Bridgehampton Sagaponic, they created a bond for the estimated cost of what it was gonna be for a 10-year bond, and then they paid it, then the residents, the particular homeowners, paid that bond off. That's that's the cost, and so they all know, they have a very good idea of what they can be paying year by year.
Yeah.
On
And the other thing to keep in mind is that the way that this is structured, the federal government executes all the work. On the completion of the work, they send a bill for the entire non-federal 50% to the state. The state pays the entire non-federal 50% and then sends a bill to the towns and the county. And in this case, that bill would then come to the town board, and then you would send bills to the 3 villages, and then together those payments would go to the state.
What would be the time frame on that?
In the contract, I think it says like 60 days, but that's pretty flexible.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing happens in 60 days. with
That's
the
why,
state.
that's why I'm
would
trying to
think.
figure out how they're gonna get a bill for that, yeah.
But prospectively, going into the project, so the way this works is the Corps sets up their work program for this coming season, for example. They set that up in September or October for the following summer work season, following actually fall, winter work season. So you will know 6-8 months in advance that this project is coming and what the approximate cost is gonna be. So it won't be dropped on you when you have 60 days to respond.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to look to see how they want to finance it. We're going to know, because like Kelly had mentioned, the projects are about 4 to 5 year intervals, Do we float do we float a 10-year bond to cover 2 of the intervals that way? Maybe like the Bridgehampton Sagaponic kind of did. It's,
I think it really
you know,
depends on
for
what the
for
market is.
ECD. Yeah, yeah.
If the
yeah.
shorter term money is cheaper, you might want to do that.
Well, and also,
the-
oh, sorry.
No, then the money's in our coffers, but then we earn interest, then we have to pay the interest back, so it might not be better to have it.
But
So far in
the board
advance.
will have plenty of runway to evaluate their options. They just won't be presented with a bill and say,
Because
"Oh,
you're
by the
also
way."
saying too, though, it's not gonna be on a set schedule, it's gonna be an as-needed.
That's right. It's going to be a condition-based.
Yeah.
So if the beach is in good shape and it doesn't need sand, they're going to skip. And they monitor every year, and that's how they generate their work plan. They do the monitoring in the summer, and when they get the data, they generate their work plan in the fall for the coming dredging season.
What happens in between the 4 years if we have a bad storm and something gets wiped out? How do they treat that?
Okay, so that's covered on what's called Public Law 8499, which is the Army Corps' equivalent of FEMA. But it's better than FEMA because it's a 100% federal cost. So if you have a Sandy and the project is compromised, then the town would request that New York State, because everything has to go through New York State. So the town would request New York State to request Public Law 8499 funds from the Army Corps. Army Corps goes through their machinations, and then that money flows back down. But that does take 6, 8, 9, 10 months to occur. But most recently, that's been done on Fire Island. And it's been done after Sandy. That's the way they closed the breaches, is with that emergency money.
Probably did it with Woolsey, right, with,
Yeah, they
about
did with
5 years
Woolsey as
ago,
well.
wasn't it?
That's right.
They put about 300,000 cubic yards of sand in.
Yeah.
It almost had that breach that time. Yeah, in the east end of Fire Island, after the Fire Island project was pretty much done.
That's right.
They got hit pretty hard. Yeah.
If some of the mayors were asking why Southampton Village isn't included, do you want to explain just to the board and the public why that is?
So the village, that beach did not meet the Army Corps' determination for needing renourishment. Because the dunes were already,
Well,
Why not?
everything's based on a benefit cost analysis, which has to be greater than 1. So everything east of Shinnecock Inlet, except for downtown Montauk, doesn't meet that national, what they call national economic development criteria of having benefits greater than costs. And therefore, those beaches are not eligible to get federal money. That's why Sagaponic and Bridgehampton had to fund it on their own.
Yeah, it's essentially,
Within the authorized area, but
Just
they
say
don't
that
meet
one
the-
more time slowly so people can understand that, 'cause it's gonna be, this is gonna be a very good question for a lot of people.
So the Army Corps is obligated by federal law that every project has to have a benefit greater than the cost, what they call a benefit cost ratio. It has to be greater than 1. East of Shinnecock Inlet, except for downtown Montauk, the beaches do not meet that economic criteria. Therefore, they're not eligible for federal money because there is no quote-unquote federal interest. So that is the reason that Sagaponic and Bridgehampton have to pay 100% for their sand, because they don't meet that benefit cost ratio of 1.
yeah, they're not in the FIM program, right? Sagaponic, Southampton Village is not in the.
Well, they're in the authorized area, but they don't meet the criteria. And therefore, they're not eligible for federal money.
So the village is not.
The Village of Southampton, Village of East Hampton, and everything in between, except downtown Montauk, because they have all the hotels.
now if there was an emergency and something in the village, say, or Sagaponic got wiped out, that still wouldn't be eligible for anything under FIM?
No, it's not eligible under FIMP. So, but within Sagaponic and Bridgehampton, and within those erosion control districts, they are eligible for FEMA money because the beach is a municipal facility, just like a building. And so you would get the 75% federal FEMA and the 10% state contribution.
So if the beach is open to the public, now if the beach, like say Cooper's Beach, would not make it because
Well,
it's not open to the public, or it's open to the,
Because it's not an engineered beach.
okay.
So only Sagaponic and Bridgehampton are engineered beaches. That's the criteria. If Cooper's Beach was engineered, in other words, built to a particular standard and maintained to that standard, like it is in Sagaponic and Bridgehampton, then they would be eligible, but they're not, because.
It's essentially the barrier beaches, right? I mean, that's, you kind of, yeah, so it's essentially, because it's not only protecting the beaches, but it's also protecting the mainland that's beyond the barrier beach, so, you know, if you think about it, if there's a breach in the barrier beach, could have a dramatic impact on the properties that are on the mainland, on the south shore there. So that's part of the benefit cost analysis, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so.
So, everyone, all the local, the towns, you know, Babylon, they have signed their agreement with the state. Brookhaven has signed, the town of East Hampton has signed, the town of Islip has signed, Suffolk County has authorized signature, but they have not signed yet. And none of these towns or the county will get any renourishment until everyone signs on to their agreement with the state.
And are the agreements, the languages in the agreements are pretty much,
Very similar, pretty much the same, basically, yep. So there would, if you would like to move forward, there is a resolution that will be on for the next meeting on December 18th, authorizing the signature of the partnership agreement and the IMAs with the 3 villages.
But our agreement is subject to, our resolution is subject to the villages
Right, yep,
signing
the
on with us.
town does not have to sign until the 3 IMAs with the 3 villages are all signed first.
Right. And Kelly's been working with the villages, with some of the language, Village of Quogue and.
I think we're very close
Yeah.
on the IMAs. I believe we're there with Quogue. We're very close with West Hampton Beach, and West Hampton Dunes has indicated, at least in principle, they don't have an issue. They have had some communication with New York State directly, and they're slated to have a meeting next week, which I believe will resolve all their issues.
Oh, that's good to know.
They're going back and forth on the issue of the beaches, right? Because the state owns, because of the breach work, right? The state owns, actually owns the beaches in West Hampton Dunes.
Just for the board's edification, in West Hampton Dunes, it's a little different than the rest of Southampton Town, because as a result of that federal court case settlement, New York State actually owns the beach throughout the entire village, and each lot is a meted and bounded lot. The deed does not run to the Atlantic Ocean. But this is very similar to Fire Island. In Fire Island, they're all meted and bounded lots, and the ocean beach itself is owned by the town, it's owned by the federal government, some of it's private. But, West Hampton Dunes wanted clarification on that point.
Yeah. So this is, just to clarify, it's only west of the Shinnecock Inlet and doesn't include for us the villages. So could you just say again what properties are not included in, that are in the town, are not included in the villages that we would have to pay for?
So there's the Tiana ECD. the
That's
properties-
already an
That's
ECD.
already, yep, an ECD. And then, maybe you know how many properties, I'm not exactly sure, in West Hampton.
I don't know, I mean, I'm not saying 10, I'm just saying areas.
Yeah, and on the diagram in front of you, if you go to page 1, so it says G101 in the bottom right corner. In yellow, I've outlined where the authorized project is. Actually,
that's the whole thing?
yeah,
No.
this whole area, which goes from Cupsog Beach on the left to just past Lashley Beach and West Hampton
Just
Beach.
West Hampton.
In there, I've denoted the village and town boundaries, and you can see West Hampton Dunes goes from Cupsog Beach, and then it borders with town of Southampton, the West Hampton hamlet, and you can see that then borders with the village of West Hampton Beach. So there's that small section right in there. There's probably about 40 or 50 homes in there.
And we have our own town beach, Pikes, right?
Pikes
in there.
Beach, and the town for Pikes Beach, which is about 450.
Yeah, and a good stretch of East Quogue, Hampton Bays is actually the county.
Yeah.
Everything east of Tiana, really, up to Ponquag, and then beyond is county.
And the next page just shows the other section, which goes from the village of Quogue to Tiana Beach. And again, I delineated out what's in the village versus what's in the town. And everything within the town in that area is part of the ECD. Now, one of the things that exists in the current ECD authorization is that the town has agreed to pay their pro rata share for town-owned properties within the ECD. So, for example, Tiana Beach, Sandbar Beach, the Great Dune properties that are all owned by Southampton, the town would pay their pro rata share, and the ECDs would pay for the private properties.
It's fair.
So the ECDs are not covering for the public portion, that's what you mean to say?
Correct.
Right, right.
But as,
Hot dog and.
yeah, Hot Dog, right, Sandbar, Tiana, Dolphin Lane, yeah, those areas.
Feel like Triton too, because it's trustee.
Right. Triton as well. And Road K, Road L. There's
That's all county over there too, right? Most of
And
Road K,
then,
that's
you know, east of Tiana Beach, other than Ponquag, everything's owned by the county.
county, all the way right to the inlet.
Yeah. So they'll be paying for all of those costs. It's unlikely Ponquag will ever need
Yeah.
Is there a timeline on this, Aaron?
Yeah, the timeline for construction of the Tiana portion is next winter. So,
Already?
well, we the town, have to deliver to New York State and to the Army Corps by May of '26, all of the 98 easements that Kelly was talking about. So, the good news is, first of all, you have no idea how hard Kelly has been working on this for the last 10 months. And the
3
shenanigans
years.
that she's had to go through is really, really remarkable, I have to say. And so we're all very well represented by your attorneys. But we finally had a breakthrough with the Army Corps. They approved the methodology for 3 of the 4 appraisers. Those are all being assigned out. The good news is they've already done all their field work, so now it's report generation based upon the approved methodology. And so I believe that we're all pretty confident that we're going to get these offers into people's hands.
And we have the funding in place for all of those offers.
I don't know about that, but they're quite modest.
Yeah, the offers are very de minimis compared to the full value.
Yeah.
They're pretty, so.
The offers cost less than the appraisal surveys and administration.
You're saying there's 90 properties?
98.
98.
And just to remind folks who might be watching and might not have seen your last interaction with us, this is happening now. Can you explain why the cost burden is now sort of being shifted? Can you kind of explain that process of why we're going to be now paying for these projects? And as the federal government had stepped in previously, but now that's
Right.
shifting.
That's a really good point. So Fire Island to Montauk Point, so-called FIMP, is divided into 2 phases. One is called initial construction, and the other one's called deferred construction. So initial construction is exactly what it sounds like. They build the project, and that phase is 100% federally funded. So what's upcoming in Tiana for this year, or for next year rather, is 100% federally funded. And what would occurred at west of Shinnecock Inlet and in West Hampton in the last few years was 100% federally funded. The follow-on 30 years, so-called deferred construction, is split into federal, state, and local. So it's 50% federal, 35% state, 15% local. And that's what's in.
Can you do that one more time? I'm so sorry. That breakdown?
Yeah, sure. So the follow-on 30-year nourishment of deferred construction is 50% federal, 35% state, and 15% local.
We're still in the full 100% reimbursement stage right now, though.
Right.
Everything we're
Including
doing
all the
now,
real
all the,
estate.
all the money's for our consultants and the appraisal work and survey work, and we're hoping to get
And the offers
100%
themselves.
reimbursement.
Thank you.
for
That's
all
helpful
of
because people may ask us, like, well, why are we all of a sudden having to do this? So we're aware and we can provide those answers.
That's after the
good
project is
information.
completed, and then, but
So that
we're
would
still
be-
in the middle of the project right now,
So
or
in other
beginning of the
words, in
project.
Tiana, if it gets built next year, or when it gets built next year, it wouldn't be until 4 years from then that you would
Oh, I
anticipate.
thought you were saying Tiana's next year is the renourishment.
No,
They're
no,
still
that's the
Initial, just the initial, yeah. And there are other towns who have already had their initial construction, and now they're looking forward to the follow-on agreement for the 4-year renourishment. So that's why it's, a little bit
Yeah.
interesting that we haven't had our initial construction yet, and we're already talking about renourishment, but the other towns have already had their initial construction.
The Fire Island, mostly
Yeah,
Fire Island.
Mostly Fire Island.
Downtown Montauk was just last year,
Montauk.
and West Hampton was just last year. So, the town, there's 3 projects within the town. The West Hampton section, the Tiana section, and the west of Shinnecock Inlet. So 2 of the 3 have already been built, and it's the 3rd section that needs to be built.
The Fire Island project, the county played the role we are playing here. The county was responsible to obtaining all the easements and doing all the survey work, doing all the appraisal work, doing all the engineering work, and to obtain the easements. Here, it's, the town of Southampton is stepping into the shoes of the county. So, or Kelly Doyle is stepping in the shoes of the county essentially. So it's a big undertaking for the county, for the town.
So we're looking at probably 4 years before this happens.
Minimum, really. Yeah.
And these costs are tentative, right? Because we don't know what the sand is gonna cost in 4 years.
Exactly, we're hoping that these are worst-case scenario, and that it's going to be less.
Yeah, we don't know what sand is gonna cost. That is principally driven by 2 factors, the cost of oil and the cost of steel. That's what drives dredging costs.
But it's the mobilization cost, which is what usually kills us, right?
Yeah, the mob cost what kills you, and that, and that depends on the equipment they use. So if they use what's called a cutter head dredge, which is a giant barge, that mobilization is, 6.5 million. If they use what's called a hopper dredge, which is much smaller and more nimble, better for these conditions actually, that is like 2-3 million. So it's a big difference.
There's only a small amount of dredge companies out there who are able to do a job like this.
There's 5 in the country.
Right, yeah. And they're pretty busy,
Yeah, they're quite
responding to emergencies and everything else.
So what's the next step? You'd put a resolution on for us to,
Yes, yep, the next step, the resolution will be on the December 18th meeting. Again, that's going to authorize you to sign the project partnership agreement, but that is subject to first the town entering into intermunicipal agreements with the Village of Quogue, the Village of West Hampton Beach, and the Village of West Hampton Dunes.
but will the federal or state governments accept it with that condition in there?
They will, but they can't sign, so the state will not sign their agreement with the federal government until the state enters into, the agreements with all of the towns and the county.
And the town is not gonna sign that agreement until they have the IMAs. So the purpose of the resolution is merely to make sure that when those IMAs come in, that the town can proceed.
Oh, I thought we were sending the agreement to the state with that condition in it.
Yeah, and through the help of the supervisor, we've had some very productive meetings over at the Village of West Hampton Beach, the 3 villages, so it's been.
Well, the entire team, they had, Kathleen Murray, Jim Burke, Kelly Doyle, the comptroller, who else was there from the town?
Yeah.
It was a really, an impressive, exchange. I think the mayors really appreciated the attention.
Yeah, and we had a
the
couple of
detail.
meetings, and I
Yeah.
think it went well too.
I think that was, I think absolutely critical to helping them understand the project and the benefits.
Yeah, they were of course shocked when they first got the letter from us saying, you're gonna have to come up with all these millions.
Yeah.
So meeting in person and going through and offering to help them set up their own ECDs, I think that really helped them.
Yeah, yeah, you're familiar, the
Terms of
familiarity they had with you was helpful, you know, to have somebody that they can trust and acknowledge, so. Yeah, and like I said, it's gonna be at least a 5-year lead time before the village is gonna be laying out any costs on this.
Yeah, but you're waiting for me to ask this question.
What's your question?
The trustees easement. And that was all calculated.
Yeah, that's unaffected.
Yes, it's below it.
It comes into play on the appraisal analysis, and it actually,
Right.
yeah,
It reduces the
potential damages. you know.
Yeah. But, I mean, that easement is described between the southerly crest of the dune and the mean high water, so wherever that is at any time, it is.
It is.
It's ambulatory.
Our hope is that,
I want to know about that.
yeah, our hope is that that the homeowners are gonna sign these things, the agreements, they're gonna accept the offers, and they're going to sign the easements. If they don't, then the project could be delayed, because then Kelly and I are gonna have to use eminent domain, and we're gonna have to petition the courts to get vesting orders, and there's one judge in Suffolk County who handles all these, it's Judge Leo, and he also has a matrimonial part. So, yeah, so it's,
Combination.
Can you
Yeah.
put up like a completion list of who signed on and who didn't?
well,
We'll be keeping a running tally.
we have
So, I mean,
actually,
can that be public?
yeah,
I don't think so.
we,
You can see it.
in our conversations with the folks from the Tiana ECD, they've kind of threatened to do that if they don't get full
Friendly
cooperation.
neighborly
Yeah,
nudge.
yeah. And we know that we've had
Well, I mean, I think if they know that eminent domain is the next step and it's gonna happen anyway, like,
right.
And the other thing is that, you know, these are quite knowledgeable property owners. They understand the benefits.
yeah.
Right,
And
right.
our meetings with
Sure.
them, whether it's
Sure.
in the village of Quogue or in the Tiana ECD, has been, put something in front of us.
I mean, what was it, like 2 years ago that I went with you guys to the meeting at Dockers with all the homeowners? And they were then like, who do we need to talk to get them to sign on to get this done
The real
tomorrow?
estate division of the Army Corps, which is,
Yeah.
it's like Kafkaesque in there.
It is. We've had the colonel who stepped up, and he's been very good, and he's really been helping to kind of spearhead the project
And then
along,
he
get the
came out and met
cooperation.
with youth supervisor.
It's just the years that we're into this now. It seemed like it was such a rush and it was gonna happen like within 6 months, and now it's been years, and it's.
Well,
Still, when you have 3 governments and you get bigger and bigger, right, you know, and again, you know, we don't, you know, the county did the Fire Island project, and they have a fleet of engineers and 75 attorneys in the office and you know, surveyors, and so we don't have any of that, so we had to, you know, improvise, but we're there. You know, yeah.
Very close. Yes. We're actually going to send out a few offers possibly tomorrow, or early next week.
Well, you let me know, because I'm gonna pop the champagne that day.
You know, and there may be a holdout or two, and if there's a holdout or two, then we're gonna have to petition to get vesting orders, and then we can fight over the money later on. But the key thing is that if they don't sign the easements, then we're gonna have to try to move to get vesting orders as quickly as possible. Judge Leo, I know, I've appeared before the judge for decades, and he's usually pretty good about signing the vesting orders if needed, so.
I think the public benefit here is
Yeah,
significant.
clearly it's a public, clearly it's a proper use of eminent domain. There's no question about that. So.
Well, this chart was helpful, very helpful to understand what's happening. Thank you. And Kelly, thanks for all you've done all this time wrangling these surveys and appraisals and easements. And
Yeah.
it's like we're close to the finish line.
The finish line. We're
If
getting
there is
there.
anything we can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for
But,
taking
yeah, we'll
the
be glad
time.
to get this resolution signed up.
Yeah, that'll be great.
You have
And,
been very
who's
helpful.
Following up with the mayors.
Yes, actually, going to email Village of Quogue today and,
Yeah.
yep.
We pretty much tag team them.
Yeah, his biggest concern, Mayor Truholt, was that they only get charged for the properties in Quogue that are impacted. And I know that you put language in there to make that very clear.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And then, I know West Hampton Beach is thinking about the ECDs and how to do that, and then West Hampton Dunes might just tax their people directly, so
Right.
we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes, but they know that this is important and they need to prioritize a decision.
Yes, yeah,
Sure.
because the town of Southampton and the county of Suffolk are the only local sponsors who have not signed the agreement yet. So,
We've been in constant communication with all three mayors, and it's been a friendly, it's been working out very well. Again, through the help of our supervisor, has great relationships in the villages over there. So,
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in, good explanation.
Special present.
Ooh.
You may not know
Is
this.
it under $25?
It totally is. I think it costs $3.
Made in China.
2025, First Coastal celebrated 50 years in business.
Oh, wow.
Well, congratulations. Are you having a party or you already
In the
did?
plastic as a collector's item?
For the next 25?
I started this when I was a junior in high school.
Really?
Now you're showing your age.
I am. I was the class of 76, so I'm proud to be bicentennial.
Thought you were,
You and
gonna give
me.
us some coal to sand.
Airman, then we're gonna talk some more about WOSI, and you're, when you have time, you're gonna give me a draft letter to send out to get
And I've
some
been talking to Charlie
support.
Barth about that. The county's been pestering New York State about,
I know.
I'll get us an update on how the progress they're making.
Yeah, I might be-
So that's
Kathleen's got-
something, I don't wanna wait till it's
Yeah.
disaster and
Yes.
then say
Full
we
set
should
of the
have done
plans, if anybody
If it is-
has an
if it is,
interest
I'll
in
jump on.
insomnia, they can read those.
Just in case several of these, like,
Bigger, it's the bigger version.
Yeah, the bigger version, the full set, we'll
Well,
keep
it's got
this on
all-
file.
It's got all of the, and I can send a digital copy if you want to put it up on the website.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
That would be actually really
I
great.
like that.
I'll get that out to you this afternoon.
Thank you, both.
You know?
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, that's me. I don't think they'll let me out without that.
I was like, what? Congratulations on the 50th anniversary.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for the pins. All right,
Might be bugged.
so the next section of our work session is gonna be a discussion on the sales ratio analysis. And Lisa Gore, our sole assessor, is here, and are we gonna have Tom Donato?
Mr. Donato was on his way. I warned him about the traffic. He said that he would be here by 11, he called.
Oh,
they start that construction and, they start closing lanes after 9 o'clock.
well, you could talk to us at like introductory, like how it came about that we hired their firm and what it is they were looking at, not necessarily the results.
So the sales ratio study came about because we had previous conversations about whether or not we were going to resume annual reassessments. As you all know, we haven't had a reassessment since 2019. Our equalization rate at that time was 100% market value. We are no longer there as a result of no longer doing the reassessments. We are now at 63%, and we've held 63% in 2024 and also 2025. I do not anticipate that being the same for 2026. So, we reached out to Tom Donato of Municipal Valuation Services to conduct some sales ratio studies for us to see exactly what the comparison is of our assessments to the market based on our arm's length sales that we've had in the town. And I believe the time period that he used I believe it was July of 2024 through June, yes. A sales period from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. So it's about a year's worth of sales, which ended up being around 916 sales, qualified sales throughout the town during that period. And
Excuse me, what makes it a qualified sale?
qualified sale is an arm's length sale between a willing buyer and a willing seller.
Okay, so it does
It's
a
not like a foreclosure or,
family member.
right, family member, yeah, executive.
Nothing that would affect the
DNA.
market value, like it's
Yeah,
a true
yeah.
market value.
People would want to know that.
Yep,
You had to
yep.
qualify.
Qualified
It's
sale,
like a red
we,
flag.
yeah. So when we do our sales in-house, when we send them to the state, there's a check mark that we have to indicate whether or not it's a qualified sale.
Okay.
Otherwise, they won't use it in the state's analysis when they look at our sales.
A lot of people, I never knew that, so a lot of other people probably never knew that.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot, that could disqualify a sale from being used in the sales ratio study.
You did say this was residential, no commercial, right?
This is all residential sales, yes. So Tom actually, he broke it down. We have over 50 neighborhoods within the town of Southampton. And that includes, so it's made up of the different hamlets. And then within those hamlets, we may have one or two neighborhoods within those hamlets because we consider sales south of Montauk Highway to be higher than those north of Montauk Highway. We have neighborhoods, let's say within the villages that are waterfront neighborhoods. So we may actually make up, like I said, it's over 50 neighborhoods within the town of Southampton. So his first,
Did we give him the parameters
We
on
gave-
which
yes.
neighborhoods? How did you come about knowing
So-
what to do on that front?
so how he did it first, within the first couple of pages here, he has it broken down by hamlets and villages. And then it will indicate the number of sales that he used. Like the first one, townwide results, were 861 sales. And then you'll see Bridgehampton, it was 90 sales, and then so on. So that's how he did it by hamlet, and then he also included the villages. So,
Hampton Bays has like 320, but that's a large area, a lot of houses.
yes. Yeah, so in Hampton
People
Bays,
might-
we have actually 5 neighborhoods.
Yeah,
5 neighborhoods just within Hampton Bays itself.
so that, maybe we should like put like a breakdown on that.
Okay.
Because people will say, they wonder why, it's like 90, 145, 72, 10, 55, 45, 51,
Right.
100, then all of a sudden there's 320. And people wonder what's going on in Hampton Bays.
Right.
They
So,
don't realize, unless they live out here, that, like you said, it's 5 neighborhoods.
right,
It's
5, yeah, and on
a big
the,
area,
yeah, Hampton Bays is,
East Quogue and.
yeah, it's very large in Hampton Bays. Actually, on page 2, midway down, it'll show how the neighborhoods are actually broken out. So in Bridgehampton, you'll see there's only 2 neighborhoods, which is 190-100, 190-200, and then you'll see Hampton Bays. It is the 5 neighborhoods and so on. So you can, in Southampton Village, they have 4 neighborhoods within, just within the village. So that's how they're broken out.
So, Lisa, spoiler alert here, because I'm that person that switches to the end of the book. It says in his conclusion that without running preliminary models, it's difficult to estimate the degree of tax shift each neighborhood could expect, which is kind of what I wanted to see. So is that like our next step, if we want to take this a step further?
So I believe, in speaking with Tom, he said in order to do that, we would probably have to actually delve into doing, like, so in the assessor's office, we do have a database, we do have a test database, and we could start doing a lot of that stuff in there and see where the possible shift is, but without actually going through the steps of doing a reassessment.
Because I just want to see if it's going to more impact the lower priced homes versus,
And when he gets here, he can explain more, but one thing that I did find interesting was that right off the bat, in his analysis, he saw that the higher end homes were being over-assessed. And
Overassessed.
I thought that,
Really?
yeah.
because we have
That's
people here all the time telling
He can
us that.
explain
Really?
that.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would've thought the
I
complete
that was-
opposite.
That was
Yeah.
interesting.
Huh.
And it could be because in 2019, the last time that we updated our tables in the system, that we could have increased our tables a little more than, what they should have been, than what the normal was. And now that the sales are starting to kind of stabilize and, because in 2020, we know sales shot up all over the place. And now they're starting to come down, they're stabilizing. So maybe those rates in those higher end areas do need to come down some. So that's a possibility, but
Going to
Tom
hurt
could.
the people that we don't really want to hurt.
Exactly, yeah. So Tom could explain that more when he gets here, but that's one of the things that he saw right away. And I was,
interesting,
I
'cause
was.
it's always
That's
been-
what I was looking for, to see if you were going to say the higher end homes are being under assessed.
Underassessed,
Then it makes,
Yeah, that's always been our mantra, right? That even your deputy has always kind of said that, right? It's usually
they have more stuff on their pizza.
the higher goes high quicker. The appreciates quicker than the other.
But the new construction is certainly
The
being
new construction is
under-assessed.
probably still under-assessed, yes, because
All the
they're
new
being assessed based on the old rates from, 5-6 years ago.
But at least we we increase their assessments because of the new construction.
Right.
We're allowed to reassess, look at the impact of the construction. That'll increase the assessment of that house because of the improvements. That's the only thing we can do unless we do a full townwide reassessment, right, Lisa?
So tell us again, how did you get to the 13 neighborhoods that you told him to focus on? Just while we're waiting, how did you go about
Well,
selecting
we've
that?
had those neighborhoods, we've had them made up like that throughout the town, since we did the first reassessment back in 2004, I believe. But what I did was, based on the reassessments that we've done in the past, these neighborhoods have always been the ones that we focused on more, because Hampton Bays, we know, it's our working class population, so we definitely want to know where we are with assessments compared to the market there. So that's pretty much how we did it. Again, Eastport is a very high taxing district, so we wanted to look at what the sales ratio was there. And of course, in the villages, we always want to include the villages.
Why are you saying Eastport is a high taxing
The
district?
school district,
Eastport South Manor.
South Manor School District.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like a $22-23 tax rate
Yeah, it's
per
pretty
1,000.
exceptionally high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we definitely wanted to look at that. Flanders, we've always been very, we tried to handle that with, soft gloves when it came to Flanders, because we know it's, we have some working class people there as well, but we have some properties that are high end on, on the waterfront, on the bay over there. So it,
Same with Hampton Bays too, right? There are
Hampton
some.
Bays too,
There
yeah.
are some there too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but in Flanders, Riverside area, we have a lot of we have the mobile homes, we have a lot of, elderly people over there, so we always wanted to be very careful when doing the reassessments there to make sure that we didn't, if we saw that the increase should have been, a 15% increase there, we would put it around, maybe 10-12%, not go to the maximum, so.
I just remember when the town did when they went to 100% valuation, and there was I was on the long lines at St. Rosalie's. And I remember there was a lot of people there that had vacant property that had been in their family forever, and all of a sudden, they said it was getting taxed way more than it ever was, to where it wasn't even worth it for them to keep the property because the taxes were gonna be so high on it. So I'm just, I just, having that in the back of my head and having stood on that line, like, I get it, I don't know, like, I just wanna make sure that if we're, like, I wanted to see like a school district that has a mix, like one of the smallest school districts we could find that we have, that we could do a district, because it's the school taxes that are
Right.
really what's gonna impact people the most, so.
Right. I mean, we really have no control over the school taxes, that's, their budget is what
Oh,
their
yeah,
budget is.
I'm just saying, whatever we
But-
set the tax rate at, or whatever we assess them at, is gonna, I wanted to see, like you were saying, if the high-end homes are being over-assessed, and now we're gonna reassess, and they're gonna get hit with a much bigger burden of the school tax.
So so like I was saying before, in being able to see what the impact would be on a school district or a particular neighborhood, that is part of the reassessment process. And that would actually come into play when we did the residential disclosure notices. That's a requirement through New York State, real property tax, 581. We have to send people out what the potential impact is going to be. We have to adjust all of the exemptions based on what the increase in assessment's gonna be, because right now, since we're not at 100%, we have to adjust all of the exemptions downward. So people are no longer getting their full exemption since we're not at 100%. So all of that is part of the process of doing the reassessment throughout the different phases of it. So once we would send out an impact disclosure notice, that's when we would be able to see like what the impact is on a particular area, a school district, and so on.
So we had a conversation that, where we were one of a very, very, what was it, one of 2 or 3 municipalities that actually were at 100%?
2 in Suffolk County that do reassessments. Shelter Island still does reassessments, but I mean, they're very small.
Is it,
On an annual basis.
yeah, but is it the fact that we don't do it, is it more of a disparity because of the difference in valuations of the homes?
Real estate.
Whereas if you go upstate and then pretty much the
Everything's
values
pretty
are
much the
pretty much the
same,
same?
yeah.
No question.
Yeah, down here, because this is a very, very unique area.
Yeah.
We have unique pockets throughout the town.
Yeah.
Like I said, because we have so many different neighborhoods, houses on the south side of Montauk are valued a lot more than the houses, Hill Street even.
Yeah. And I mean, there's areas of the state that don't even have zoning, so it's,
Right. Yeah.
Right. No, that's true.
So, yeah, we're one of the very unique towns. Brookhaven, I don't think they've ever done a reassessment. Huntington, Smithtown, and Brookhaven, of course, they're like 180,000 parcels. But Huntington and Smithtown, they're kind of similar to us with, 30, 40,000.
63, but the same equalization.
But they're,
right now.
yeah,
About
their
63%.
sales don't fluctuate like ours do,
Yeah.
and they don't have the.
The real estate market's
they
not
don't
the
have
same.
Complex market that we
Yeah,
do.
I mean,
here
they do have
in
some,
Southampton
they
town.
have a lot of waterfront as well, and then they have on both sides really, so there are some very high-end areas,
Right,
Belterres and then the Fire Island beaches and stuff. A lot of that is Brookhaven, but, so there is a lot of oceanfront properties, but it doesn't, it doesn't fluctuate as much as out here. does it?
right, yeah. Yeah, we definitely see it a lot here.
Well, we'll wait to see what he has to say, but going into this, we were thinking that this was, without the reassessment, that people on this end of the spectrum, are paying more than they should, and the ones over here are paying less than they should. And
Well,
that
now
would shift.
now that we have this right here, I'm pretty sure we could take some of this analysis, what he's seeing, and start adjusting some of these neighborhoods according to what he has in his analysis. Like I said, we would just have to do that in a test database to see what the actual impact would be.
And what specifically, Lisa, would we be analyzing in that test database? Like what factors are we looking at?
So we would take a look and see whether or not our land tables need to be adjusted. Let's say right now we have a half an acre that is $500 a square foot, something like that. And if we need to adjust it upward, maybe based on, what we have to do first is take a look at the vacant land sales. That's how we determine is that my phone? No. That's how we determine.
It sounded like a 911 thing, like
That's actually Tom. I hope he's coming in.
Do you wanna get it? We could pause, Lisa.
Sure. Let's see.
Maybe they won't let them upstairs through our security.
Hello. Hey, Tom. Where did it take you to, Tom?
My talk.
116 Hampton Road, yes.
That's us.
A different Hampton Road?
In Southampton.
Oh my gosh. Another Hampton Road. I don't know where that would have taken you to.
Is he in the village at least?
Hopefully it's
Yeah, if he's in the village, he's close.
Stony Hill Road. Is that in
Oh,
North Sea?
he's out in like Noyak.
Oh, Tom, yes, okay.
Well, no, I mean, maybe we should reschedule.
Yeah,
Reschedule.
yeah. We're probably gonna reschedule then, Tom. That's fine.
He's in Noyak.
Yeah, I'm sorry it took you way out there. Yeah. But, well, no, swing by anyway. We can have a chat. We'll sit down in my office and talk. All right, thanks. Okay, thank you. Bye. So he's out there in Hampton, is it Hampton Groves or something out there?
Yeah, he's in
Hampton, yeah,
North Sea
he's up
area.
Well,
Oh, my goodness.
maybe we all have a few more
like North
questions
Haven.
that you could answer. Did you probably told us this before, but I don't specifically recall. Can we lift the freeze without doing a townwide reassessment? I mean, can we just start now and start reassessing?
We cannot. We can't just start changing properties unless we actually know for a fact that we're gonna go to 100% and we have to go through the process that the state allows us to go through. We can't say, okay, yeah, this house sold for 500,000. We only have it assessed at 200,000. So what can we do to increase the assessment? We can't.
We can't just
Have all the documentation and backup that gives us reason to actually, and we can't it's called spot reassessing. It's illegal.
Well, because even with the freeze, even though we're not reassessing, with the stabilization rate, people's taxes are still going up.
Yeah, sure.
Well, because we are capturing new construction, renovations.
Yeah.
But for someone who's done nothing to their house and they sell it for twice as much as we have it assessed for, we can't touch it.
We're not capturing the new
We're not
sales.
capturing that, and we can't do just, because we fell so far below in the equalization rate now, we can't just say we're gonna do residential. We have to do residential, commercial, vacant, industrial, everything.
Well, we had a gentleman here who was kind of yelling at us that he wanted the homestead exemption, that we needed to sign that in, and when we explained that we had to reassess his house in order to give it to him, he's like, no, it's okay, I'll just go about my day.
We have people calling us about that too. We can't offer the exemption if we don't do a reassessment.
So when a
And-
tax freeze goes on, you can't lift it unless you do a complete 100%.
Well, you know,
Assessment?
it wasn't even, former supervisor Schneiderman, that was hard to say, called it a tax freeze, an assessment freeze, which it really wasn't. It was just saying, okay, let's put a pause on reassessments We're not adjusting
So let's
reassessment.
lift the pause.
Our
yeah, we can't without
equalization rate has
reassessing.
fallen too far below. We would have to do a town-wide reassessment.
Lisa came in with the
waited
former
too long.
board and said, we're at that limit right now, or if we
Yeah, where we
don't do
can't.
it, we're done. We would have to go through a full reassessment, and the board at the time said,
If we were able to maintain, let's say equalization rate went to like 90, then we could say, okay.
We could do it.
We can do it, but now we haven't looked at sales, we have to do everything.
and Lisa came in and
Everything.
had that conversation and said, we're right there. If we don't do it now,
So when the former supervisor kicked the can down the road, it's actually cost the town people more money in the long run.
Because now
Yeah,
a
the full
reassessment, a
town-wide.
full town-wide reassessment.
can you
is gonna
start with
cost
just
around
commercial?
Cost around what, 5
Explain
million?
his reasoning
4
later.
billion, 5?
a minimum of 4 million. Yeah, and it would take about three years to get it done because of all of the different phases.
That's why the other towns don't do it. That's part of why the towns.
Well, there's no incentive from the state anymore. The state used to offer up to $100 a parcel. We used to get, $300,000. We don't get that anymore. We'll get like 75,000.
Yeah, yeah.
They've cut the cost, so there really is no incentive from New York State for
Yeah,
doing it.
and we were really a very unique town within the state of New York to be 100% assessment. There's only a handful of them, right?
Right.
Yeah, that we're doing that, yeah.
How
I
do
mean, the market value will go up and down depending on the equalization rate. If the equalization rate drops, your market value is gonna go up a little bit, and then,
Right.
so the taxes that you're going to pay could increase depending on that equalization rate, which is taken from they do a calculation of the sales, right? The state comes up with the equalization rate, right?
Right.
And that's based on the sales of that, from that prior year, right? So, yeah.
So how do you calculate the assessed value of a newly constructed home?
So, well, depending on where the home is, in our valuation tables, we have what the cost per square foot of that, what type of home, is it a cape, is it a postmodern, is it contemporary? All of that stuff is factored into the tables, and it comes up with a valuation based on a cost per square foot, and then we take into consideration any other enhancements that are on the house, the siding, the materials that were used. Is it a Home Depot house or is it a Farrell house? All of that is taken into consideration, and it gives you a value. And then, of course, where is it located at? What should the land assessment be? Is it waterfront? Is it non-waterfront? Do they have any restrictions on the land in that area? So all of that's
Private road or
private road,
trustee
yes.
road or town road.
All of that's,
Your land
yeah.
values, you come up with.
Location, is it bordering a school? Is it bordering, a farm? All of that's taken into consideration, and we were able to determine the cost per square foot by looking at vacant land sales. That's why I said we have to look at vacant land sales to see what adjustments would have to be done to land assessments.
And a lot of people don't realize when you buy a piece of property on like a trustee road or vacant, on a private road, they expect the same treatment as a town road.
Right,
But they paid less for their property.
right, because they don't have those
They
services.
complain twice as much as,
Yeah.
and they want stuff.
But so are you saying that even though somebody might have to pay $700 a square foot to build the house, we're not able to assess it in that way at the rates that they're actually paying? Because we can only assess it at what it would have cost to build the same house in 2019?
So what happens when you do a reassessment? We have it's called Marshall and Swift. I believe a lot of people in New York State use this valuation company, and they give us all the different rates for all different types of houses, all different scenarios, and we plug that information into the system. And then every year, they also come up with a percentage. What should that increase be based on the region and based on your municipality? So none of that stuff has been updated since 2019. So right now, if we have a house, say, in Southampton Village, that in 2019, the rate said it was $700 a square foot, and now it should be $900 a square foot, we can't change it.
Even though we know that
Even though
that's-
we know, even though, Marshall and Swift, the valuation book tells us that that's what the current rate is. We cannot change it because we have to be able to look at our sales and say, oh, you know what? They're right, it should be $900 a square foot. That's where the sales analysis comes in.
And not that the town would be getting any additional money, but.
Right,
that
because
would-
if we raise assessments, then the tax rates go down.
Yeah.
So it's not that, we're gonna collect any more, it just distributes the valuation evenly throughout the town. Everyone is paying their fair share, so.
So I think, based on this, I think we should definitely have another follow-up with Tom.
Maybe I'll see if he wants to do Zoom next time.
If he wants to Zoom,
Next time.
where's he coming from?
Mineola.
No,
City,
oh
yeah.
gosh. What a shame. Yeah, well, we could put this on for January, because it would be nice to hear from him
Yeah,
to understand
yeah,
what
I
all
mean, this
these
is-
charts are.
This is what he does, and he handles all of our small claims assessment cases for us now. And I can tell you, he's actually reducing a lot of properties through the small claims process just because we are not at 100% value. Because when we were at 100%, someone filing the small claims, we were able to provide the documentation to say, hey, look, yeah, no, based on the sales in this neighborhood, your assessment is correct. We can't do that anymore because, we're no longer at 100%. We can't, we can look at the sales, but if they're not supporting what, they want to get a reduction of, 100,000, we don't have anything really to support it. So we're even given more reductions now.
And then rather than on grievances where we used to be able to just correct it, they have to come back every
They have
single year.
to, they can file every year now. They can file. Yeah. And every time we have to reduce someone and give them a refund, that charge comes back to the town, the county.
Can we, if we deny them on their grievance and they go to small claims and they win in small claims, that gives them 2 years, right?
Gives them 2 years, but since we are not doing a reassessment, they can come back every year. They don't have to wait that second year. They can come back the following year.
But my question is though, if they win in small claims or whatever and they get reduced and they're okay with their reduction and then they file a grievance when that 2 years is up, can we reduce them based on them winning that small claims, or do we have to go through the small claims process again?
I have to go through it again, because if our equalization rate changes, then they, that they're
Resetting it.
right, it resets it. They can be reduced even lower.
So, I mean, this is a lot of work for the people that are in the grievance process that actually won their grievance, but now they have to fight every year to maintain that grievance.
Well, yeah, especially for the companies that do the grievances. It's, homeowners, they can do it themselves, but a lot of people choose to hire the representatives, the tax reduction services. It makes a lot of money for them.
Yeah. But I thought they used to give you, like, you used to pay them a percentage
Of your savings.
of your savings over X amount of years, but now if they're doing it every, it's every 1 year?
Whatever they save you in that 1 year.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's why it's a moneymaker for them, because now they can come back and do it every year.
Commercial usually is
Commercial's 3 years, yeah.
Because by the
3
time,
years, they can't come back.
and it's usually, those get settled, they usually get, auto settlements filed, and it usually,
Yeah.
usually goes before
Yeah.
Judge Leo, same judge again.
Yeah.
And so those are usually based on, settlements are usually based on 3 to 4 year filings generally, right?
Does anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah, I just want to, at least, looking at the PRDs and the CODs, are we really that far off in our assessments? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
So let's just look at townwide. So like I said, right now, our equalization rate is saying that we are, so we are on page 5. So our equalization rate says that we are 63% below the market value. According to the townwide results right here, out of 861 qualified sales, the weighted mean is 57%. So that's why I said, I don't think next year we're gonna be able to hold 63%. We're probably gonna drop.
To 57.
Right. Well, not necessarily, it could be a little bit higher.
Right.
But if just looking at this, so Bridgehampton, we're at 64, East Quogue 58. So we're about, on an average, probably halfway of what our,
And the reason why you're not necessarily 100% sure is because of the sample size here, the 861.
right.
That's 861 of the total residences.
But the equalization rate is 63%.
63%,
The 63% below market value.
And then Tom probably started off with about 900 sales, but there were some outliers that he probably tossed out because you have a house that sells, let's say, $1 million, whereas every other house in that neighborhood's only selling like 800, 750, 800,000. What's up with that $1 million one? So he'll toss that one so it doesn't skew the numbers. So, yeah, but looking at this, we're at 65, 68, 53. Southampton Village, 65. That's surprising. I thought we would be, a lot lower. But,
Yeah, quick glance at it, it seems like the higher end areas, we're actually more accurate than some of the lower.
so I'm thinking next year our equalization rate based on these numbers, because the state will give us a 5% window. So if we got down to, 59, 60, I think that would be good. I never try to go down the full 5%. If I can say, okay, we just making that margin right there, then I'm gonna go as close to.
Hopefully you can hold it for 2 years.
Yeah, so, because the lower you go, the more that we're saying someone's market value is, and then it's actually being, we're gonna be over the market, and that's when people start coming in and getting those small claims reductions. We don't wanna drop too low,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Interesting.
Well, thank you for,
Certainly.
going through it with us, and we'll reschedule for January. We'll
Yes.
hear from Tom, and then we'll make some decisions on how to proceed.
Okay.
And what you discussed in proceeding to the next steps, and I think this is really a discussion that we have to have with Tom, but you're saying we would do a deeper dive? Is that what you're suggesting as a next step potentially?
Yeah, we could take, like, his analysis in here, and, he's saying Southampton Village. We could take that information, start looking at those sales, particularly in Southampton Village, start looking at the vacant sales. Okay, what are the adjustments that we need to make in our land assessments? What are the Marshall and Swift rates now per square foot for, this type of house? And then plug in those numbers and then start coming up with, some potential tax.
So can we then maybe give you some more time and have you come back with that more info plus Tom?
Is that something you can do, or do we need Tom to do it?
We could actually do that in-house here. I would just have to make sure that IT has everything in our live database copied over to the current, to the test database.
So why
I
don't we,
think that's a good
right?
idea, to get that
Take the time.
additional, the next.
And then you let us know when you're ready and.
Yeah,
We could do a whole review.
yeah.
And if you want to give me particular
Areas.
yeah, we
I
can,
think it should be like
can plug
cover
those
the high
numbers in.
areas, then a medium area and a low,
Okay.
low area.
All
So
right.
We get,
Yeah, because we just need to have a good sense of how it's, the actual impact it's gonna be on the different neighborhoods.
some
And,
neighborhoods you
Yes.
can't really hurt.
all right, yeah, I'll work with Tom and Paula and Russ on that to make sure that, you know, the database is, the test database
be a
is
lot
set
of
up.
work.
It is gonna be a lot of work, but yeah.
Give you more than a few days.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, that would be
Wait till Tom
good to
finds his
know.
way over here.
Oh, my
At least they'll know where to go.
I don't think he's ever been out here. I don't recall Tom ever
Yeah.
coming out
I
here.
think he was on Zoom the last time we met with
He
him or something.
may have been,
No
yeah.
wonder he was so late, you know, they kept sending him east.
Frustrating.
Yeah.
Look at the old hack strings, you know where you
Well,
go.
what do you think? I mean, I think this is a good plan now for the
Yeah,
next step.
I'll speak to Ross and Paula and see how they can get everything just from, like I said, the live moved over into the test database. And I'm sure they'll have to do some testing themselves just to make sure everything's working fine.
Yeah.
And
Then we'll really have a good picture about it, you know, it seems like it's something we should do, but we want to know what the consequences will be.
Yeah.
Third.
Lisa, will you have a map to show where these neighborhoods are in a particular hamlet?
Oh, yeah, we have our neighborhood maps.
Okay.
I could provide you with that anytime. We
That's
have the
important.
neighborhood maps, yeah. Mm-hmm, yep. Okay.
All right,
Thank
thank
you so
you,
much.
thanks
Thank
very
you.
much, Lisa.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, you too. And have a nice holiday.
Oh,
I'm sure I'll see
you
you guys
too.
before then, but. Oh, I'll leave those there in case Janice wants to give them to anyone.
And we'll wait for, Janice will wait to hear from you before scheduling the next work session. Okay.
All right, good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that brings us to the town council and supervisor member updates. We're going to start down this end today.
So we had an East Quogue holiday on Main last Saturday, which was amazing. It was a great event, as it always is. So many people volunteering, kids volunteering. And it really is nice to have an event where you actually see the community members out enjoying themselves and their families, and it's funny.
The first time I went because, and I was surprised how many people I knew and everybody was having such a good time and lots of vendors.
Yeah, yeah, I like it because now, like, my kids are in college, so I don't see the parents of the kids that my kids went to school with, except for at community events like this. So it was actually really, really nice event, and they did thank us and the town Parks and Rec Department and the town police department. I know Jimmy Kiernan actually was there for a bit, and it was a great event. And then on Monday, I had a meeting with the Northampton Riverside Flanders CAC, and Ryan Murphy came to that meeting with one of our code enforcement officers. We kind of tried to, it was like a 2.5 hour meeting, so I want to thank them because we were there till I think 9:30 that night. But he went over basically the process for code enforcement, and then they had given him a list of properties that they had issues with that he went through and actually had updates for them on, which most of them had been in either come into compliance or were working towards. He did a great job of explaining to them because, you know, people always want to know, why didn't they get tickets? Why didn't they get
What
tickets?
hamlet?
Flanders, Riverside, Northampton.
Oh, great.
So he said that, you know, he explained to them that basically code enforcement really does, even though it looks like, you know, why didn't they get tickets? Why didn't they get tickets? Because once we issue those tickets, it's in the court's hands. And sometimes that process takes forever. And once you issue tickets and they're in the court process, then they really feel like they have nothing to help you out with. So they're always trying for voluntary compliance. They're always trying to get people, like he said, even if we issue notice of violation and people are working towards compliance, we understand a lot of these things didn't get out of compliance overnight and they're not going to come back. So as long as they're working towards, we try to work with them. They seem to understand, and we're thankful that he was there. You know, they obviously still have some issues, some blight issues. And, you know, we discussed that. I did work on a vacant properties registry code that I want to bring to this board in the new year and have a work session on, so you guys can see it and, you know, provide some input before I move it forward. But, you know, it was
What do you
something
mean
that
by
they.
Vacant, you mean vacant, or there's a house
So
that's not
vacant-
occupied?
A house is unoccupied, exactly, to make sure that the properties are insured, to make sure that
Yeah.
there's a local contact person. They have to pay to be on the registry. So if you're gonna leave your property vacant and it's not, you know, occupied, then, you know, every year, potentially, it's gonna cost you more and more money to stay on that list. It's really an incentive to get some of these really blighted properties that are horrible, you know. You knock them down, you clean up the property, and then you don't have to be on this list and you don't have to pay the money. So, but it really is
Townwide?
too, yes, and it really is too to make sure that these properties have insurance, because most of them, there are no mortgages, there is no insurance, and, you know, God forbid somebody gets on the property that's unsecured and hurts themselves,
Does that include commercial buildings too?
yes.
Like the gas station? They're gonna ask about that.
Oh, yeah. It's any property that's sitting vacant, so so I'm gonna bring that forward next year to you guys at a work session, you can look at it and provide some input, and we'll hopefully move that forward, so.
Who is that, Ryan, would be?
I was working with Ryan and
Yeah.
Sean on that, yeah.
It's a great idea, because we had tried that with foreclosed properties, and it ended up getting kind of crushed in court, because we were charging banks to keep an eye on the properties that they were letting go, because the rates in the Hamptons, the prices go up. It's not really in their best interest to even worry about it. They just let it go, and eventually it's worth more than it was, and they'll sell it then. But this at least keeps people on notice, and to pay a little more attention, and maybe decide what you're doing with that home a little quicker.
And wouldn't there be property maintenance violations too that can be, you know, we could go after the homeowners for that?
Yeah.
The property owners.
And this would also, hopefully, with this registry and with these people paying to be on this registry, it helps us cover some of the costs, because we have to go and inspect these properties. We have to, you know, visit them regularly. We get code, you know, complaints about them. So it's our resources and town resources that are being used to basically manage these properties for somebody, which isn't fair to the taxpayers. So this is putting a little bit more of the burden on them, and we did, you know, it's not just something that we came up with. We looked at codes that are already in place in places like Saratoga Springs and other towns in the state of New York that are already functioning, have already been, you know, gone through the process of being.
So what happens if the person doesn't want to have their property on the list?
They can knock down the house and clean it up and be off the list.
Okay.
Would it include like inspections for squatters and illegal rentals?
So that was the other question that we had, that we were basically, we want to make this list public of what properties are on this vacant property list, so that the neighborhoods know that that's a vacant property. If they see something, or they see something going on the property, they have to, you know, alert somebody. There was a question on that of, would you be inviting then squatters to go onto these properties? But at the same time, no, because we're making it known that these are vacant properties, and we're keeping an eye on them, and part of that fee is that we are, you know, we have eyes on the property, so.
We should include some of the town property.
Well, so this is, I don't want to get too into the woods here, I want to get you copies of it, you can look at it, we can have a work session, we can have all these conversations with Sean and Ryan, and, you know, I'm sure there'll be changes, so.
Yeah, most of these properties, I assume, are in the process of being foreclosed upon.
Oh, no, but some of them are just, they're owned, and there's no mortgage on the properties, so then there's no incentive for the property owner to get rid of, you know, there's all throughout the town, even in Southampton Village, there are properties that are sitting vacant that either were under construction and died, or there was a fire, or there's no incentive for that person to knock down that house and pay to do that, because it's just sitting there and it's not costing them anything to sit there like that.
I had a fairly unique situation recently where there was a foreclosure on there was a property over in Noyak, and the judge, in this case, one of the Supreme Court judges in Riverhead, actually called us up and said, hey, this property is in Southampton, it's a foreclosure, would you, and there's an issue about the condition of the house, and they invited myself to come in and tell the court what the conditions are, and it actually leaned on the bank was, you know, at this time, had owned the property, and it was kind of leaning on them, and the owner that was seeking the foreclosure. The bank was seeking the foreclosure against the owner. And they asked us, and I had brought John Rankin in, and John testified about the condition of the properties, and it had some influence from the court on what to do next, and it actually forced the owner, but really the bank at this point, to at least take some steps to at least secure the property. So that was, yeah, that was kind of unique.
And hand in hand with this too is also looking at, and I asked Janice to look into this about, some of these properties, they don't want to demolish the properties because it's like a non-conforming thing and they're afraid if they lose the footprint, then they lose the ability to use that footprint in the future. So I'm asking her if there's some way we can preserve that right without having to leave these derelict structures on these
Yeah,
properties.
we have a provision to do that.
But we need to like, hand in hand, let people know that that exists
Right.
and that's a pathway for them, so.
Yeah, we did have that case a number of years ago, in which we won, but it was, still a 5-6 day trial. Was a property on the ocean front where it was in such bad shape that we did demolish it. And then once we demolished it, the owner said, "Oh, you took down my, $1 million estate." Yeah.
What's the difference now, though? I mean, with GIS, you can look up a property on GIS, and most of them will show who owns the property. So what is the difference in creating a registry? Is it just for the incentivization of trying to?
We'll go through the whole thing. It's because there's inspections, they have to put in an application, they have to give us a local contact, they have to maintain it, they're paying us basically because we're doing the inspections, and it's like kind of a rental permit situation.
The
But
GIS
the
won't show.
penalty is.
But the penalty is to leave it sitting there vacant and
charged
unoccupied,
more.
you get
The
charged.
registry will.
And every year that it sits on that list, your
That's a
charge
good idea.
increases.
That's a good
The
idea.
registry will also show which
I think honestly, when we require this, I think a lot of these properties, no insurance company is going to touch them. And the insurance company's gonna tell them, we're not gonna insure you until you do X, Y, and Z to this property, which is going to, I think, clean up a lot of these properties just from the get-go, because they're not gonna be able to insure the property without taking care of some of these.
But those charges also have to mean something too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
The registry will have, it'll show whether a property's in foreclosure, that there's been a foreclosure action proceeding on
I
it.
mean, we'll
That's the difference
have a whole,
We'll have a whole thing.
Because the
work session on
GIS
it.
doesn't show that, like, the GIS, our GIS wouldn't reflect that there's a pending foreclosure, and that we wouldn't have that in our, that wouldn't be.
There's no flags on GIS for that?
No, I don't, no, typically no, because it's not a,
Yeah, we have to do this.
and a lot of these are owned by corporations, so that's why
Yeah,
we're
banks.
requiring to have a local contact, a person that we can reach out to, not a corporation.
Right. That's a good idea.
some of these properties might also be in tax default as well. And sometimes there's properties where the county is actually taking title to them because of tax default.
Okay, I like that idea. It's looking
Seems like a
forward
good
to
idea.
getting, yeah. I mean, we've all see the houses and think, what is going on with that place, Why doesn't the town do something about it? Okay, so
And
we
right
will.
now, the burden is on the community and code enforcement to, but so we want to shift that burden to the property
Or
owner.
if we're gonna demolish the home, we probably need a court order to allow us to do so, and then we put the cost on the tax.
And not
the
only that,
property
though,
owner
this
will
is,
have to
with the
pay.
$100 blight fee is some money, but it's not a lot. This is real money that we will hopefully have in a fund to be able to start then remediating some of these properties.
Typically, if we actually demolish a house, I mean, if we're doing property maintenance, we have public hearings, and we want to make sure that we have best notice to the homeowner, the landowner of the property, before we take any steps to demolish a house. That's a key thing. You don't necessarily need a court order, although the court order would be good, because that insulates the town even that much more,
Yeah, you have to prove it's unsafe, right, or.
Yeah,
attract
that we can make the
nuisance.
determination here. The town board has that ability under the code, and we've had property maintenance hearings before, and I think we've taken a couple of houses down over the years.
Right.
I'm done.
Good, thank you, all right, that's a good one. Michael, what do you got for us?
So there's quite a bit, but I'll just course
Plenty of
over.
time, we're ahead of schedule.
I'll just course over a few. I did go to Long Beach Foster Memorial with our Parks Director, Kristen Doulos, this past weekend, and the Noyak Civic, as well as Back to the Bays, Cornell Cooperative. And they did a native planting event. The community was involved. A lot of youth were involved, understanding the importance of coastal resiliency. So a lot of great lessons were explained. Cornell did a nice job, Back to the Bays as well, talking about how they, could plant different things to help, ensure when there's, coastal erosion. Some of the native plantings can act as natural buffers. So it was really nice, and the Parks Department did a really nice job. Noyak Civic is always participating in these kinds of events to, bring the community together and educate them. So it was really nice. I also was invited to attend at the Southampton Culture Center. East End Jazz invited me out to see one of their jazz jam sessions, which is really cool. Iris Ornig is the director for East End Jazz, and they do a number of free events for the public to come in to hear jazz performances from really awesome jazz musicians. But another thing that they do is they also educate and provide opportunities for youth and other people in the community to come up and jam with the jazz musicians, and you learn a little bit about jazz. You can play. It's just a really nice organization that does a nice job bringing the community together through music. So something that's really important to me. I also joined Chief Kiernan and the CTV team the other day to work on additional PSA initiatives. We're doing more PSA videos. Apparently, they're very popular. A lot of people like seeing the chief. So
Yes.
we're going to be doing some more things targeting e-bikes. As you know, the holiday season is upon us, so there will be some gift giving. So we are just trying to make sure that people understand that a gift to somebody under 16 of an e-bike is actually prohibited by law. So we want to make sure we are raising awareness of that. And the chief is doing a funny Christmas video with Grinch hands and a Grinch hat. So it's actually it should be funny, but also
You write it?
I did not actually. Chief and the CTV team really worked on that one. Yeah, it was my idea. But obviously the PSA initiatives are really important to raising awareness of traffic safety, number one, first and foremost. That's part of one of our key recommendations of the task force that was formed, a couple years ago, that we have to try to do more to raise awareness of our traffic laws, traffic safety laws, and the police department's doing a nice job using that forum to spread awareness of our laws, but also ensure that people are paying attention to the rules of the road too. I'll say I attended the Southampton Business Alliance last night with the supervisor and Councilman Pell, Councilwoman McNamara. It was nice to meet some of the members of the Business Alliance, understand what some of their concerns are. Supervisor did a nice job.
Thank you.
I'm also, since Councilwoman McNamara talked about some legislation she's working on, this board did have a couple of work sessions on an iteration that I had put forward on tree clearing restrictions, to put something in the code that really kind of addresses the issue of wide-scale land disturbance. I am working on that with Sean Cambridge, with Janice, with Ryan Murphy. And there will be soon a draft that I will be circulating around for all of you to review, and we'll have a work session on that to see the next iteration.
That's good, because Janice said, her department has a lot of different variations
Yes.
of a code that, because this is something that the town
Years.
board has looked at for years. So I'm glad that, you've got a whole group of departments
Yes,
looking at it.
Ryan Murphy has added some really great input to the process, because a lot of times, Janice's team and his team have to sort of be working hand in hand to understand
Yeah.
what's going on with respect to land disturbance and clearing. So, we're going to be working in some new regulations that I think will be reasonable, will also be easy for people to understand. And so we'll get there once we have a full draft in place, and everybody will read it, and we'll have a work session on that.
Yeah, because people have expressed concern
Great
over
concern.
clear cutting.
Correct.
It's that balancing, it's that person's property.
Yep.
They should be able to do what they want versus, well, there have to be some restrictions, right, for the community as a whole.
Right.
All right, good. Well,
So
we'll
thank
look
you. That's
forward
all I
to that.
have.
Thank you, Michael. And in addition to the East Quogue Main Street Festival, which was very fun, there were so many tree lightings. It was Quogue, West Hampton Beach, Quogue, the tree lighting and the menorah lightings. East Quogue had it, Hampton Bays, so, and the West Hampton Historical Society had something, so it was a full weekend. And as Michael mentioned, the Southampton Business Alliance had their holiday party / meeting last night, and it was fun. It was nice to meet everyone, and they had a lot of questions, and I was glad to answer them.
You did a good job.
Thanks.
On the
Yeah,
hot seat.
it was nice. Some people thought it was, I thought it was fine, I mean, compared to some of the other meetings we go to. It was tame. So, that was it for me. Bill?
Well, today, down in the senior center in Hampton Bays, the town clerk has an office down there, and that's where they do the major of shredding all these papers we don't need anymore. And the shredder broke down a few months ago, and they've been getting a portable shredder by truck, comes in once every couple of weeks to shred the town paper. And they're getting a new shredder. And they had a problem because the old shredder is very heavy and huge down in the basement. And we reached out to the highway department, and Charlie and Mark sent a crew over there to dismantle it today and to bring it upstairs so they can prep the area, clean the area and paint the area before the new shredder comes. So I want to tell the highway, thank you for doing that.
They're always willing to help.
Yes, they are. And they're also putting drains with water quality money down on Shore Road in Noyak today and yesterday. And one of the major questions with people is the traffic. And, as a supervisor, saying that, they're stepping up and trying different things. Some things are working, some things are not working. There's accidents happen, what really slows it up when they're trying something new. But last night they were out adjusting the lights to see how they can make the lights better, counting the cars, and for the time last night. Took me 20 minutes from West Neck to East Quogue. I thought at 5:30, I thought that was really, really good. It was amazing. That's about it.
Okay, thank you for that update, Rick.
So, Madam Supervisor, you are correct. It was a very busy weekend, but we also added on the Friday night was Glow Night for the Southampton Youth Bureau at SYS, and I don't know if anybody's ever gone glow bowling. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Your depth perception is off, so when you go to SYS and it's all black lit and kids are trying to play volleyball and do some other activities, it's fun to watch. It really is. And they always get a nice turnout, so I got to give the Youth Bureau credit. They mix up their activities so well that the kids seem to never get bored with the variety of things to do. Saturday, I did get a chance to visit the cat house at the in Tuckahoe.
Forgot about that.
It was stuffed the stockings for the cats, so I brought over some toys and some treats. It is not the easiest place to find, and it's not ADA compliant. It was a little difficult. But other than that, I've talked to Jill Mulvey there, and she said they are having a blast. The cats seem to really have taken to the idea of being in a home rather than in a kennel. So good for them for a little while, but we really need to get them back.
I went to that
Jackson
too,
Avenue,
and I thought it was so fun to see, they had, all the different rooms had, cats in cages, and they were all out, and the staff were so loving and happy about the arrangement. They were very grateful for the town for coming up with this solution. And, of course, I wanted to take some home with me, but I resisted the urge.
It came right at the right time of year too, because, it was kitten time when we moved everything. And,
What?
We're in the neighborhood.
Hi. Well, we're just here for an update, so,
do I have a guest speaker here, or is he awake?
He is. Big
He came
smile.
from a 6-month appointment. He's a very big boy. 100th percentile for height. Shocker. We knew that was going to happen.
So if you don't mind, break him out. We'll get him his first TV appearance if it's okay. But yeah, so it was a great weekend. The Hampton Bays tree lighting was awesome. The firehouse puts on such a great night for everybody, and the Chamber of Commerce is a big help in that one also.
Yeah, I did stop by the cat house, and I actually brought my granddaughter with me, and we spent over an hour there. I have videos. The cats are really, you know, like Rick said, they really enjoy the house.
Some of them are so friendly. Look at this little sweet pea.
So this is why we do what we do. So this is Daniel,
Hi,
6 months
Daniel.
yesterday.
Aren't you precious?
Big boy.
Went to my-
Like, who are all you people?
Get shots today.
And why am I
One
here?
on each leg. Why?
He can't do the gavel yet. but-
move your thing.
This way.
Daniel?
Daniel.
Hey, Grandpa.
He can't take his eyes off you, Rick.
It's our next town board member.
Wait, give him the gavel.
What's gonna wanna eat it?
Bill, watch out, Bill.
That's adorable.
No mouth.
Eat it.
Look at, he's so happy.
He's a happy boy, for sure.
He is. The doctor is even like, oh, he's got such a great temper. He's very happy.
So, let him, can he close the meeting if we? All right, so I'll move to go into executive session for personnel, contracts, confidential legal advice, and then to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.